And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Tonight we will be discussing Netflix's pledge of 2% of their cash holdings, which is equivalent to $100 million, that they will be allocating on an annual basis to Black communities and businesses. And I actually think that this is a step in the right direction. Is it a drop in the bucket? Absolutely. Is this going to alleviate and fix all of the problems, the injustices that's facing African Americans? Absolutely not, in terms of getting access to capital. But one of the biggest problems that many aspiring entrepreneurs and small Black businesses face is lack of funding and capital. And what they're actually trying to do, this was actually Robert Smith's plan. And he's basically trying to get other corporations to get on board, where they will take 2% of their cash that they have sitting in the bank anyway and start allocating this capital to Black banks. And therefore, the banks can allocate that capital to small businesses, small Black businesses. And I actually think that this is a step in the right direction. Is this reparations? Is this going to fix the racial wealth gap? Absolutely not. But again, we're going to be focusing tonight on how can you position yourself to actually capture some of this wealth transfer. You constantly hear me stressing on this channel that yes, we're going through a difficult time right now. For some of us, it feels like we're in the middle of a depression. For others, it feels like a recession. And then for some people, they're actually thriving. You have to figure out where you will fit in. There will be booms and there will be busts, but there will be opportunity. And what you don't want to do is sit back and watch all of this wealth transfer around you and you don't capture some of it. So that's what we are going to be focusing on in tonight's live stream. Please do me a favor and like this video, share this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Make sure that you join my mailing list so that you can be notified when I'm going live, because sometimes, depending on the topics that I'm discussing for that night or day, YouTube will not send out my notifications. Also, for those of you that are interested in learning about blockchain technology and investing in different cryptocurrencies, I launched my Tech Academy. We currently have a 7-day free trial where you can basically sign up, go through the course, see if you like it. And if you like what's going on, you can stick around. If not, you can cancel it free of charge. For those of you that are in the coding bootcamp that's coming up on July 12th, be on the lookout for an email coming from me where I'm going basically, I need your phone number so that I can contact you, because I need to learn and figure out where you are with your computer literacy. Some of you have never coded, you've never programmed before, you really don't even know your way around a computer, and that's okay. That's the whole purpose of setting up this coding bootcamp. So again, be on the lookout for an email coming from me, and I need your telephone number so that I can contact you. We're going to set up about a 15 to 20 minute consultation where I'm basically just going to fill you out and see exactly where you are, because some of you, you're on a different level. Some of you may have already programmed before in other languages. We're starting out with JavaScript. So just be on the lookout for that email. And if you can see me and hear me clearly, please type 1 in the chat and we'll get started. And a link to my Tech Academy, for those of you who are interested, is in the description below. Give me 1 second. Let's move this over here. All right. All right, so let's get into some of the information, and then I'll stop in between the article and tell you what I think about what I'm reading so far. So it says, Netflix's big idea to support Black communities. Netflix's $100 million plan to boost Black lenders. We have the first look at a new move to help bridge the racial economic divide in America. Netflix will shift some of its $5 billion in cash to financial institutions that focus on Black communities. Netflix will bank up to 2% of its holdings or about $100 million with such lenders. It will start with $35 million, split two ways, financing a new fund, the Black Economic Development Initiative, that will invest in Black financial institutions and banking with the Hope Credit Union. The billionaire investor Robert F. Smith proposed that big companies donate 2% of their annual profits to Black-owned businesses, but this was developed before he aired the idea. Also, this move addresses racial inequality, not through charity, but via a routine commercial aspect of Netflix's business. As the company's cash pile grows, so might its deposits at banks like Hope. And I saw a donation come through. Thank you, Nelson Sales. He says, we need tangibles, not symbolism. Understand, no matter what you may think about this money is going to go to someone. See, one of the biggest problems, and again, I'm not attacking you, Nelson, because I wanted to say this anyway. I was going to save this for later, but I'll say it right now. One of the biggest problems is so many of us, we have fallen in love with our plight that we don't know how to take small victories and turn it into something. At the end of the day, I'd rather this money go into my pocket than go into someone else's pocket. If $100 million is changing hands, I want a piece of that. See, so many people, they want to sit around all day long and critique and talk about the problem and talk about Black Lives Matter and talk about the LGBTQ community and the lack of masculinity and no fathers in the home. I don't have time to sit around talking about the problems. I am a solution-based person. So understand that when I see the PPP program going out, I don't give a damn about tokenism or any of that. I want some of that money because guess what? Wall Street does not sit around debating about transgendered rights, LGBTQ, the Black Lives Matter being Marxist or communist. When that bailout money's coming out, they have their hand out to get some of that bailout money. See, all of these libertarians and all of these, Republicans, you just pick yourself up by the bootstrap in great American capitalism. As soon as they need a bailout, they're running right down to the federal government with their hand out. We're the only people who think somehow that, I'm just going to do it by myself. I'm not going to get any money from the government. That's just tokenism. Guess what? That tokenism can help put some money in your pocket. See, I don't say this to brag. So many of you reach out to me, and I want to share this right now real quick. A young lady right here, or male, I don't know exactly, I can't tell from the picture, posted this in one of my live streams. The individual wrote, I want to thank Eli for giving the information about applying for the small business loan I didn't know anything about. Thanks to Eli, I applied before the funds ran out and I was approved for $5,000. Right? $5,000. So this individual, because they listened to me, was able to apply for the money that they were giving. The government was giving this money out anyway. You think I'm going to sit up here and say, oh man, that's just tokenism. No, I want that money. I'm going to take that $5,000 and go and do something with it. No, is this going to fix, 400 years of oppression, Jim Crow, redlining? No, absolutely not. But guess what? It's $5,000 that you can use for your business. On my YouTube channel, I have videos that actually, I made these videos for free where I explain to you how you should set up your LLC or your C Corp or your S Corp, how you should get a virtual office so that you can have an office separate from your residential address. You need a commercial address. Focusing on you getting a business phone number, a business email. This video is right here on my channel. Go and watch that video. See, set yourself up to capture some of this wealth that's changing hands. Don't sit around all day long and watch everyone else running to the government or running to big business or wherever they're going and getting some of that money. Go and you go and get you some of that money, because guess what? They're printing this money out of thin air. And just for some of you who may not know, I'll actually go here and play the video for you so you can hear this.
Simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally. So we as a central bank, we have the ability to create money digitally, and we do that by buying treasury bills or bonds or other government guaranteed securities, and that actually increases the money supply. We also print actual currency, and we distribute that through the Federal Reserve Bank.
Simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally.
So understand, they're printing trillions of dollars out of thin air. Literally, they're printing trillions upon trillions of dollars out of thin air. I want some of that money because guess what? I'm going to take that money and I'm going to invest that money into crypto, into gold, into silver, and into cash flowing real estate. That's what I'm going to do with these wealth transfers that's happening. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to sit around and critique every little thing that happens. Is this reparations? No. Will this solve the racial wealth gap? Absolutely not. But it's a step in the right direction. And is this political pandering? Yes. We have an election coming up. You don't think that a lot of these Fortune 500 companies, they mainly back liberals and Democrats. They have left-wing ideals. We know that. I'm no fool here. You don't think that I can't see that this is political posturing, that Joe Biden cannot beat Trump head to head. So they need to throw everything plus the kitchen sink in order to get this going. I know that. I'm not stupid. I'm a three-dimensional thinker. Part of planning is you have to first understand what's going on. Okay, we understand that we're in a deflationary spiral. The only way that they can get out of this deflationary spiral is to print money. If you've read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, you would understand that bailouts have been going on for well over the past, since the Federal Reserve's inception, right? We've watched bank after bank get bailed out. We've watched the auto industry get bailed out, the railroad industry get bailed out, the telecom industry get bailed out. We've watched all of these different industries get deregulated. We've seen that. It's time for Main Street to get a bailout. I don't care about inflation, deflation. You know what I care about? Give me the money and let me figure out what to do with it. Right? I'm smart enough that I'll solve whatever problem is coming down the pipe. But I want to focus on getting a piece of this money. And this is what so many of us we miss because we get so caught up in all of these conspiracy theories and George Soros and Pizzagate. Guess what? You're never going to come into contact with George Soros. But guess who you will come into contact with? Geico, Progressive, your utility bill, your retirement plan. The world's not going to end. It's going to change, but it won't end. Your bills will still be here. The world will still be here. And what shape economically and financially will you be in? All depends on how you plan your next 5 to 10 years. So you can focus on all of these conspiracy theories, or you can focus on trying to get you some money, getting your credit score right. Okay, well, your credit's shot. Well, then put the business in your wife's name. Oh, well, you and your wife have everything together. Then put it in one of your children's name. Get your paperwork straight and set up the correct way. And go out here and get some of this free money that they're giving away. That's what I focus on. I don't sit around here playing games. But let's get back to the article. It says, after encouragement from Reed Hastings, Netflix's CEO, Mr. Mitchell, worked with Shannon Alwyn of the company's Treasury division to make it work. Mr. Hastings and his wife, Patty Quillen, donated $120 million this month to historically black colleges and universities. So think about that. $120 million just changed hands. And that money went to historically black colleges. That's a wealth transfer. I want to try to stick my hand in that. That's what I'm focusing on because someone is getting some of that money. That money is going somewhere. Mr. Mitchell said that he drew on the book The Color of Money, Black Banks and the Racial Wealth Gap by Mersha Baradaran, who is now a professor at UC Irvine's Law School. Professor Baradaran argues that black-focused lenders are undercapitalized, depriving black communities of opportunities to lift themselves out of poverty. You need capital to build capital, she said. Now think about this. And this ties back into people like Jay Morrison or even Umar Johnson. I've already broken down to you how fractional reserve banking works, how literally banks can create money out of thin air off of your reserves. Now you have to think about this. If we don't even have banks in our communities, most black, and I'm going to get to the statistics and the data in a second, most black communities, I believe the statistic like 70% of certain communities, they don't even have banks, yet alone a black bank. You have to think about this. You need capital to participate in capitalism. You need capital to participate in capitalism. How are you going to go buy back the block when you're competing against hedge funds that can lever up? They can take $100 billion and lever it up 50 to 1. How are you going to buy back the block and stop gentrification when you're competing against people that are levering up their balance sheet 50 to 1? You can't. They're literally printing money and creating money out of thin air. And then because of the connections that they have, even when they fail, they can then run to the federal government and get access to the PPP program or tap into the Fed's lending facility. You can't do that. Right? So you have to understand, like, I'm all for do for self. You know me. Listen, I can't sit around and wait for the government to do for me what I can do for myself. But I do understand that there's a glass ceiling. I do understand that there's but so much do for self can do for you when you're competing with someone that can literally print money out of thin air. Right? You have to understand what you're competing against and know what works and what doesn't work. Right? And reading the book, The Color of Money, I really encourage a lot of you to go read that book so you can understand the economics of being black, the economics of understanding that even if you fall into a certain tier, you may have good credit, but you still may get put in a subprime loan because you may not have the income or the business history, or you might not have a house that you can actually use as collateral to get certain loans. So just be smart about these things and understand what you're doing and know where you're going with this. Right? It says, putting money where it matters is both good business and good for the economy, Mr. Bynum added. But he and Professor Baradaran say that more work remains, including similar actions by big corporations and major banks. The combined assets of black-owned U.S. banks amount to a bad weekend for J.P. Morgan Chase revenue-wise. And that's true. That's absolutely true. Now, this is the article here. And don't worry, I'm going to link all of these articles in the comment section. But I encourage you to go here and read this article because this is really important. It says, the 2% solution inside billionaire Robert Smith's bold plan to funnel billions to America's black-owned businesses. The nation's wealthiest black investor says the best way to begin to reverse corporate America's history of structural racism is for big banks and large companies to spend the next 10 years investing directly in banking, telecom, technology, education, and healthcare infrastructure to benefit the black community. Excuse me. How many times have you come onto my videos or watch my videos and I've said to you, focus on technology, focus on tech, get into tech. You don't necessarily have to code. From a legal aspect, let's say you're going to school for law, you can focus on law around technology and tech companies. From a marketing standpoint, let's say you want to sell the technology. You don't have to build the technology. You can sell it. You can do tutorials on it. However you want to do, I'm telling you, tech is the way to go. Getting your feet into technology is a must. Why? Because wealth is changing hands. wealth is changing hands. You need to make sure that you're going to get a piece of that wealth transfer. And you do that by making sure your paperwork and everything is set up correctly. And listen, I'm not a financial planner or a business guru. I'm just telling you, I've been an entrepreneur now for almost 12. I believe the fall of this year would make 12 years. My first 6 years, I failed. Why? Because I didn't have proper guidance. I didn't have people really telling me what to do. I learned a lot of things by trial and error. Many of you, you come onto my videos, you say, because you watched my videos, you were able to get your first business credit card, your first business loan. You were able to set up your first LLC, C Corp, and that's good. I feel good that you can come onto my channel and learn these things for free. Because there are people on the internet that are charging you $3,500 to learn this stuff, $5,000 to learn this stuff. So I feel good that I feel good when I get emails and messages of people telling me that they were able to follow my advice and get, their first loan or get their first credit card. That's good. That's what it should be about. And many of you need to understand that it's a lot of wealth that will be changing hands, and you need to get a piece of it, mainly in tech. And Be Easy, the book is right here, and I will drop it in the chat. Copy. It's called The Color of Money. Paste. Put that in the chat. And it's, I believe the name is Mersher. Hope I'm saying this correctly. Baradaran. So, back to the article. And I'm not going to read the whole article. I've highlighted certain paragraphs. In a keynote address he gave at the Forbes 400 Summit on Philanthropy, Smith, 57, said Black and minority communities have been abandoned by large banks and are starved of the capital needed to build businesses and local institutions. Smith argued that pumping in what he describes as reparative capital and investing directly in financial architecture would be a fast way to advance economic justice for Black Americans. Nowhere is structural racism more apparent than in corporate America, Smith said. If you think about structural racism and the access to capital, 70% of African American communities don't even have a branch bank of any type. I want to read that for you one more time. If you think about structural racism and access to capital, 70% of African American communities don't even have a branch bank of any type. Think about that for a second. 70% of communities don't even have a branch bank of any type. So this is a structural problem. This is a systemic problem, because how can you compete when you don't even have access to capital? It says during the pandemic, Smith discovered the structural racism in banking firsthand as he tried to help Black businesses and banks that serve Black communities obtain Paycheck Protection Program loans. Smith found that Black-owned businesses faced numerous structural obstacles and as a result had trouble accessing the emergency financing being provided by the federal government through the banking sector. I covered this right here on this channel where I was telling you, if you went to the SBA, they were saying that you can apply for loans up to $10 million. But then if you went to JP Morgan or if you went to Bank of America's website, they were saying that they're not participating in the program. But then on the SBA's website, they said that they were. There was so much fraud going on, so much deception going on, so much misinformation going on that many people didn't even know what was going on. And I highlighted this on this channel. It says, the balance sheets of the nation's 4,700 banks are made up of $20.3 trillion of assets, but only 21 of those banks are black owned or led, and they have total assets of just $5 billion. Less than 1% of America's commercial banking assets. Blacks make up 13% of the population in the United States. I really want you to think about that for a second. Out of 4,700 banks, only 21 of those banks are black owned or black led. And the 21 that are black owned and black led, they only have $5 billion worth of assets. And they're competing against banks that have over $20 trillion worth of assets. And then, like I said before, now you have to think about fractional reserve banking. How much can they lever up that $20.3 trillion? Because remember, the Fed slashed the reserve requirement ratio down to 0%. 0%. Zero. So that the banks don't even have to actually hold capital on their balance sheets. They can lever up. Because remember, most of the money is digital anyway. Most of you don't go to the bank and take out all of your money, right? You pay your bills. So it's really just a matter of sending a bunch of ones and zeros from one server to the next server. So most of the money stays inside of the banking system where they can go lever up these balance sheets and go speculate in the stock market and in the real estate market all day long. And again, you know me, I'm not this person. I'm not some social justice warrior. I'm not going to sit up here and play the woe is me game, but I can keep it real. And I can tell you that that's a structural problem. We know that black people in this country, we have less than $5 trillion worth of wealth. We know that white people have over $100 trillion worth of wealth. And we understand that for a large majority in this, a large majority of the history of this country, they were able to participate in wealth building while we were busy trying to get basic rights as humans, which is why it frustrates me when I hear a Peter Schiff speaking about a Trayvon Martin or speaking about what happened to George Floyd and not understanding that, yes, we do have problems in the black community as far as poverty, crime, drug abuse, black on black crime, but it's a reason why that's going on. And let's not pretend like we're playing on equal footing, because we're not playing on equal footing. Because if you go back through history and you look and you see every time that we tried to build something, it got bombed, it got destroyed, or it got infiltrated. Right? We know about this stuff. We've witnessed this stuff. If you studied history, you would see this. So again, I can keep it real and say, yes, we do have a problem with crime in our communities. We do have a problem with drug abuse and lack of dads in the home. But why? What has created that problem? Right? You can't just pick an arbitrary point, or a fixed point in history and say, well, we're just going to start from here, but we're going to forget about the past 200 years or 300 years. You can't do that. That's not fair. Right? You have to start from a good place. And in my video, I posed the question, and I'll pose the question again to the chat. Out of the Fortune 500 companies, how many black CEOs do you think they have? How many black CEOs lead Fortune 500 companies? I'll pose that question to the chat. Okay, Michael Clark said 5. 0. Armando said 3. Okay. Seven, about 3. Okay, let's see what's going on. 4, 2, 5, maybe 10. Here we go. Meet the only 4 black Fortune 500 CEOs. 4. Now understand, you can't say, we're not talking about Pookie, Ray Ray, and Daquan from the block. We're not talking about Pookie, Ray Ray, and Daquan from the block here. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who are qualified, people who have advanced levels of education, who've actually been in corporate America for 10 plus years. Right? So we're not talking about just trying to get Pookie who just came home from jail, trying to make him a CEO, tell him, oh, he didn't do nothing. That's not who we're talking about. We're talking about qualified black men and women who are saying that there's a structural problem that's keeping them from getting these jobs, that there's a glass ceiling that's keeping them out. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because you always hear them say, well, it's just hard to find talent. We can't find enough talented black people. Yet we know, based upon the statistics and data, that never in history have we had so many educated black people, meaning people who actually have advanced levels of degrees, who actually obtain a college education. We have a ton of diplomas, a ton of college debt. The statistics show you that we have the highest levels of student loan debt. So we're going to school, we're getting the degrees, but we're not getting the jobs. We're getting looked over. Now, here's Chesapeake Energy. You would think, this was a good company before. They had a CEO. He was smart, right? Because he was white. It says Chesapeake Energy files for bankruptcy as details emerge of wine cellars and Botox. Skip right to the point I'm going to talk about. It says CEO Robert D. Doug Lawler found in examining the company's books a $110 million bill for 2 parking garages, Faber reported Monday. Other revelations include a wine cellar and a cave hidden behind a broom closet in the Chesapeake office. Extravagances further included a season ticket package to the NBA's Oklahoma City Thunder that was the biggest in the league, and a lavish campus that was modeled after Duke University, complete with beekeepers, Botox treatments, and chaplains for employees. So the former CEO of McClendon was ultimately ousted from the company in 2013, and in 2016 was indicted on federal charges of conspiring to rig bids for oil and natural gas leases for a new venture he started. So this was the former CEO of the company that's now going bankrupt. And he blew hundreds of millions of dollars. But he was talented. This is the talent that they will overlook you for. This talented man basically ran the company into the ground and created so many bad deals and partnerships that now the company basically has to file bankruptcy years later because of the deals and partnerships and the fraud and the waste that he was doing while he was a CEO. But they're going to tell you that he's talented. So he'll get the job and run the company in the ground. Look what's happening with the airlines right now. I have videos where I was breaking this down as well. We see what's happening with Boeing with the plane that keeps crashing. They did nothing but stock buybacks, set the company up to fail, levered up huge with debt. They didn't focus on trying to save for a rainy day. And now look, they get golden parachutes. So even if you fire the CEO, he's going to walk away with $50 million, $60 million to run the company in the ground. But yet we only have 4 black CEOs. And I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying this to you that this money is going to change hands. So for some of you who are saying, oh, well, this is just a token. It's not about it just being a token. It's about you saying to yourself, a wealth transfer is happening, and I want to make sure that I'm sticking my hand out to get a piece of this. That's what it's about. Trying to get a piece of the wealth transfer. Now, does this make me a hypocrite because I speak about inflation and hyperinflation? No, it doesn't. You have to vote your interests. You have to support what your interests are. And if you right now are in poverty, then, some type of reparation or reparative legislation is what you need. Because as I said before, corporations do it all the time. The corporations, they don't have a problem with going to get a bailout. So why should you have a problem with getting a bailout from the government? The banks had no problem getting bailed out from the government. The auto industry had no problem getting a bailout from the government. The airline industry, they have no problems. The cruise industry, they don't have a problem. So why should you? Guess what? Tax breaks are bailouts. When Trump gave that $1 trillion plus tax cut to the rich, that's a bailout. They didn't take that money and invest in CapEx and invest in infrastructure and invest in jobs and training. They took that money and brought back their stocks and paid out dividends. Everyone else goes to the federal government. Why can't we? So it says, and I highlighted this, in a way, Smith is proposing a private sector solution to reparations. The idea that the federal government pay financial compensation to Black Americans who are the descendants of slaves. Smith believes Black communities have experienced systemic inequality and exclusion in corporate sectors beyond finance, including healthcare, telecommunications, and technology. The net income of the biggest U.S. companies in just those sectors was $1.3 trillion combined over the last decade, and 2% of those profits, or some $25 billion, could be used to do things like strengthen healthcare, infrastructure, and minority communities, equalize broadband access, fund STEM education at historically Black colleges, and digitize minority small businesses. Guys, the digital economy is coming. The digital dollar is coming. The Fed coin is coming. And this goes back to crypto. And this goes back to blockchain technology. And yes, I'm about to plug my Tech Academy. Because I truly believe that crypto will be our last great fight back against the globalists. That will be it. And that's another wealth transfer happening as well. Whether you think crypto is a scam or not, it's a $300 billion asset class right now. It will eventually become a multi-trillion-dollar asset. Get you a piece of that wealth transfer. I don't care what coin you like. I don't care if it's Dogecoin. I don't care if you like Zilliqa. I don't care if you like Litecoin, Monero, Ripple. I don't give a damn what crypto you like. I'm telling you, that's your internet.com bubble right there. That's a wealth transfer. Focus on sticking your hands. Look at a wealth transfer as a stream of income. And you have a cup. You want to try to stick as many cups as you can into that stream that's pouring to get you some of that. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about when I say My Tech Academy, we have a free 7-day trial where you can try it out, where I teach you how to buy, sell, and store your cryptocurrencies. And we also have a coding boot camp coming up on the 12th for those of you who are part of the lifetime membership. And you see the link going inside of the chat. But as I said, stick your hand and get you a piece of this wealth transfer. And I saw a donation coming that just came in. I 100% agree with you. Leaders of our community today have not adopted building up our own effectively, on top of creating products that cater to us instead of creating something that can sell to the masses, pull money from them. 100% KY. And that's what I focus on. And that's why I priced my course the way that I priced it at $50. I don't want to charge you thousands of dollars for information. Listen to me. Rather than charging you thousands of dollars for information that you could really find for free on the internet, if you want to go search for it, it's going to take you hours. I'm going to give you the information in a streamlined way that's going to make sense to you for $50. And you can take the thousands of dollars and invest it in crypto. See, you got to think about this, right? Why charge you $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for information when I can charge you 50 and then let you take the thousands and go buy some crypto and then make 10x on that money, right? So you can go and build you some capital. We see Grayscale coming into the crypto space. Robert F. Smith, he's into technology. He's an investor. I keep telling you, most of the wealth for average people in technology doesn't come from investing in it. It actually comes from building it or working in that space. And that's why I keep stressing STEM to you. Science, technology, engineering, math. And you don't have to go to college for this stuff, right? You can take courses on Udemy. And because of the pandemic thing, if you have been laid off because of the pandemic, Udemy is giving major discounts on courses. And I have videos on the channel telling you about those courses that you can go and take. It says, through his plan, Smith envisions the nation's banking sector could, over the next 10 years, provide billions of dollars of capital to Black-owned banks and community development banks, with some of the funds used to digitize these lenders. His plans calls for the telecom and tech sectors to provide money to help prepare 180,000 students at America's historically Black colleges for jobs of the future, and to digitize 1 million minority small businesses. Smith, who has an engineering degree from Cornell University, is the founder of Vista Equity Partners, the nation's biggest private equity firm specializing in software transactions. Part of Vista's stunning success has been built on Smith's detailed and secret playbook for running software companies, which has helped Vista achieve some of the private equities industry's best financial returns. What did I just talk to you about? About tech. Get involved in tech. And again, you don't have to be a developer or a software engineer. You don't have to work on it. You, like I said before, you can get into the legal aspect of tech, understanding the laws that are coming about privacy. You can create literally a whole blog, a whole YouTube channel about helping people with their manage their data better, protect their privacy. There's so many untapped niches in tech. When you think about crypto, from just in the DeFi space alone, from stable coins, from staking, from proof of stake coins, proof of work coins, literally there's so many different aspects that you can go down, that you can just really start, really pick one particular segment of the crypto space and just become an expert in that. Because it's new, it's fresh. There's so much opportunity. Because when you look at this, when you look at the racial wealth gap, and you look at wealth inequality, right here it says white, Black, and Latino, the median household wealth by race, ethnicity in the United States from 1983 to 2024. Blacks and Latinos are at the bottom. Bottom. This is, the blue line represents white people. And a lot of this wealth is mainly in real estate and stocks. Most of the wealth, the little bit of wealth that Blacks and Latinos actually have, is in their retirement. Now, again, I want to be clear here. I am a three-dimensional thinker. Is this pandering to the highest degree? Absolutely. Are they trying to get votes? Are liberals and people who are into left-wing politics banding together and saying everything that sounds well? Yes. But I'm telling you that this money will be flowing into your communities. Right? Money will flow into your communities. And I'm not here to listen. Some of you are anti the whole LGBTQ community. You think that Black Lives Matter is sent to supplant and take over the black male. I'm not here for none of that. Right? I'm here to tell you this money is coming. The money's coming. So you can structure yourself and set yourself up to capture some of this wealth that's transferring hands, or you can sit around all day long and listen to conspiracy theories about Pizzagate, about the Illuminati. I mean, listen, I love a good conspiracy theory too, after I handle my business. After I handle my business, right? Because due to old math, Soros is BLM. I don't give a damn if Soros is BLM. The PPP program is passed. Can I get some of that money? Right? If you want to sit around all day long and talk about conspiracy theories, by all means, God bless you. God bless you. I'm focused on trying to help people and let people know that money's available. Right? Because this individual listened to me and they were able to get $5,000 from the PPP program. Other individuals listened to me and they were able to get business credit. Other individuals were listening to me and they were able to fix their credit. Right? You want to sit up here and talk about George Soros and Hillary Clinton and her server. I'm never going to meet Hillary Clinton a day in my life. I don't give a damn about Hillary Clinton. You know who I'm going to meet? My mortgage companies, my car insurance companies, my cell phone companies. I focus on things that actually are tangible, that are going to happen in my life. And you should be focusing on things that actually will happen in your life. Right? But see, don't worry, Duda, he can go away. I've let him sit around a long time. See, people like Duda is what's wrong with our community. And when I say our community, I'm not lumping all of us together. There are so many of us, we've fallen in love with our plight, where all we can do is see why something won't work. All we can do is talk about, institutional racism and stuff like that, instead of saying to ourselves, these things, guess what? Our ancestors went through worse. Our ancestors went through worse and they were able to overcome. I'm not saying we have it good. I'm not saying we have it easy, but we don't have it nowhere near as bad as they do. Now, Bantu says, I wonder if Mr. Smith's plan will be implemented though. Netflix is implementing it right here. I literally just read the article. Maybe you came later. Netflix is allocating 2% of their cash holdings into black banks and black institutions that directly help the black community. I already see it. Like for my students that are going to the coding boot camp, because I'm black, was able to get all of the resources for a bulk price for my students because of the quote unquote Black Lives Matter, because I could prove that I'm a minority business. So they were able to give me a discount on software, on tools, on different things that I'm going to be using inside of my coding bootcamp. I know this because I've actually applied for these loans and I've received these loans and I've received these grants from the government. I've received discounts from other businesses because I'm a minority business. And I'm here to put you on the game and I'm here to tell you this is happening. Is it political pandering? Absolutely. Is it posturing? Absolutely. Are they trying to buy your vote? Absolutely. Is this anywhere near the reparations that you deserve? Absolutely not. Is this going to replace 14 or 16 or 17 trillion dollars? Absolutely not. But guess what? An extra $5,000 in your pocket won't hurt you. Getting a 20% discount off of something because you're black or a black business won't hurt you. Because you cannot compete in a capitalistic society without capital. And you can't buy back the block when you're competing against hedge funds that literally can go and lever up themselves 50 times. They can take billions of dollars and lever it up 50 to 1. You're not buying back the block. You're not stopping gentrification that way. Because you're utilizing an old paradigm that doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work in 2020. And you have to be honest with yourself and know what you're competing against. Know what you're up against and educate yourself. You're going to start to see a lot of companies start doing this. Take advantage of it. Because guess what? The Jews do it. The Jews do it all the time. You don't think the Jews take advantage of the federal government? You don't think they take advantage of government programs? You don't think that they take advantage of hiring quotas at certain companies? Equal opportunity employers? They do it all the time. So yes, is it a token? Is it a drop in the bucket? Absolutely. But we know what we need to be trying to focus on. And that's what we need to be focusing on. Because when you come here and you start looking at these wealth inequality charts, I'm going to go over some of this data right now. And like I said, if you follow Yvette and Tone, they've broken this down. It's like a broken record. And you can't deny what the data says. Now, should you be trying to build your own empire? Yes. Doing for self? Yes. Group economics? Yes. Being proud of who you are? Yes. All of those things. But God damn it, take advantage of some of the things that's coming. Because I'm telling you, capitalism is about competing. Everyone comes, I'm telling you, when immigrants come here, they're not coming here to be your friend. They're coming here to compete. They're coming here to get jobs, opportunity, and resources. Wherever those resources may come from, whether it's from the government, whether it's from big business, they're coming here to put in that work and get these resources, and you should too. Because that's what I'm about. Because guess what? I'm doing well for myself financially. And I still tapped into that small business loan twice. And guess what I did with the money? Went and brought some crypto. That's what I did. The money that I got from the government, I went and used that money and brought some crypto and bought some crypto. I went out and bought some crypto. That's what I did with my money. Three-dimensional thinking in finance is great. My lady is cooperating like I'm a first-round pick. Our time is now. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. So, it says wealth inequality is growing. It says average wealth has increased over the past 50 years, but it has not grown equally for all groups. Between 1963 and 2016, families near the bottom of the wealth distribution, those at the 10th percentile, went from having no wealth on average to being about $1,000 in debt. Think about that for a second. How do you go from having no wealth to having $1,000 in debt? So your wealth is actually negative. Right? Wealth is booming in this country over the past 50 years. And those at the 10th percentile went from having no wealth to actually being in debt. Those in the middle more than doubled their wealth. Families near the top at the 90th percentile saw their wealth increase fivefold. And wealth of those at the 99th percentile, in other words, those wealthier than 99% of all families, grew sevenfold. That's insane. Right? One reason for rising wealth inequality is income inequality. Right? This is what I really want to focus on. Racial and ethnic wealth disparities persist. Families of color will soon make up a majority of the population, but most continue to fall behind whites in building wealth. In 1963, the average wealth of white families was $121,000 higher than the average wealth of non-white families. By 2016, the average wealth of white families, $919,000, was over $700,000 higher than the average wealth of black families, which is basically $140,000, and Hispanic families of $192,000. So even Hispanics have more wealth than us. Now, part of that is because a lot of us, those of us who can build wealth, we don't do a good job of building wealth, and that's true. You know me, I'm gonna keep it real, right? A lot of us, we waste money. that have money. I'm not talking about poor people here. I'm talking about those of us who actually, we have the means, meaning we have a decent job. A lot of us lack financial literacy. And we do stupid things with our money, like crypto roots giving Polite $100,000. That's a waste of wealth. Think about a lot of these athletes who they get these $100 million, $200 million contracts, and they get screwed with bad agents and bad attorneys and child support and baby mama drama, right? So we do squander wealth for those of us who do have it. A lot of us don't do a good job of maintaining wealth, but part of that is because of lack of financial education. And this is why on this channel, I tell a lot of you, if you don't, you're not going to invest your way out of poverty unless you get lucky, and you like hit the lottery or you buy some penny stock or, some crypto that just explodes, right? But that's not an investment strategy. Many of us, because of structural problems, we were locked out of certain avenues of building wealth or getting an education, which is why I stress to you, focus on getting skills or investing in skills. But then there are those of us, we have the means to do better and we just do dumb stuff with our money. And we have to be real about that too. Right? Bill the Bonker said, Dr. Dre about to give up $400 million in divorce, the majority of the rest of his $400 million in alimony. Yeah. This is what happened. Most of the times, those of us who build wealth, we squander it. We squander it. And I said before, I really just think that we need to spend our time focusing on trying to seize this moment and capture these opportunities. So I'm going to post this in the chat. I'm not going to bore you with these charts because I've covered this stuff already. Tony and Yvette, they've covered this. You've been hitting the head time and time again with what's going on here. No, the coding, Miss Leah P, the coding bootcamp that we're focusing on building projects. So we're going to start with the basic stuff, right? What's an object literal, what's an array, what's a string, what's a Boolean, different logic parameters. We're going to cover all of the basic stuff that you can find on YouTube. But then after that, we're going to take what we're learning and then we're going to build some stuff so that you can start putting together a portfolio. See, what you have to understand about a lot of these free tutorials on YouTube that you come across is that, like, for example, programming with Mosh, his information is phenomenal. If you watch his tutorials on YouTube, he does an amazing job of teaching you about most programming languages, but it's surface level information. He doesn't really go into depth. And then what he does is, if you want to learn more, you have to buy his product. Well, his course is $40 a month, right? And now you have to think about it. It's probably going to take you a good 3 to 6 months to pick up that programming language. So he understands that if you really want to learn how to program, you're probably going to be inside of his course for about a year. And then he's going to upsell you into higher tiered things, right? So what I did is I'm allowing for $1,000, you can be a founding member inside of my Tech Academy. I'm limiting it to 20 students. Any course inside of my Tech Academy, you will never have to pay for. You don't have to pay the monthly membership. Now, we're starting with JavaScript, but then we're going to dive into Solidity and programming, building dApps and applications and smart contracts on top of the Ethereum blockchain. We're going to have a course on cryptography. We're going to have other courses on even going in more depth. So I want to focus on not just teaching you the basics, like, okay, what's a string? What's a number? What's a Boolean? What's an if statement? What's an else statement? Like, you can find that stuff anywhere. What can you do with that? What can you build? That's the most important thing, like focusing on building things. So for those of you who are looking to get into the quote unquote blockchain industry, but you don't have $15,000 for a coding bootcamp. I paid over 10 grand to go to a coding bootcamp. Many of you don't have 10 grand. So I'm able to take the information and things that I've learned in that coding bootcamp and give it to you in multiple languages for $1,000. I think that's a steal, like, to be able to go through that. So we have 2 slots open because 18 of you have already signed up. So I didn't think many of you would be interested, but many of you are. And that's why I said before, be on the lookout for an email from me, because I'm going to give you a call, because I don't want to lump all of you into one group, because some of you may your computer literacy skills may be lacking, and that's okay. That's the whole purpose of you joining a coding boot camp. Some of you may be at the very, very beginning and you don't have no idea of what's a compiler, what's an IDE. You have no idea about any of these things. So we're going to focus on getting you into the basics and then getting you to the point of building stuff. So now you can put together a portfolio and you can go out here and get your hustle on, whether if you're looking for a job or you're looking to try to build something like a business-wise. Any fork of Bitcoin is garbage, Tule. I would not be touching any fork of Bitcoin. You could go look at the daily volume. There's no liquidity there. There's really not a lot of development happening there. If it's not Bitcoin, as far as Bitcoin's concerned, I wouldn't be touching it. I just saw a donation come in. Hypothetically, if I was a multimillionaire but had no financial literacy, what route should I take to get it? The very first thing that you should take to doing it is reading a book. And the very first book that I will tell you that anyone should read, Build a Bunker, is Rich Dad Poor Dad. Not because I think that Robert Kiyosaki is a guru, not because I think that you should buy all of his books, not because I think that you should go to Rich Dad seminars. No, you read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad because that book will give you a very simple understanding as to what is an asset versus what is a liability. So many of us, we don't understand the difference between an asset is something that puts money in my pocket or will eventually put money in my pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of my pocket and depreciates, right? So think about it. If I go out and I buy a car, right? We're not talking about exotic cars. You're buying some, one of one car, some Ferrari or something like that. No, we're talking about you going out and buying a Range Rover or a Mercedes Benz. You go out here, you buy one of those cars. The minute you drive it off the lot, it depreciates. That's a depreciating asset. And then you put all these rims on it and stuff like that. That's foolish. That's stupid, right? Going and buy a bunch of jewelry and you drill a bunch of holes in it and you mess it up by putting diamonds and stuff in it. That's stupid, right? Before I go and buy a bunch of jewels, I'm going to go buy a house, right? And I'm not even a fan of real estate like that as far as like living in it, but I'd rather go get a rental property or go get a complex that's going to cash flow $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month, maybe 10 years from now, than me go out and buy a piece, a whole bunch of, Rolexes and, kilo chains. That's stupid. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go out here and buy a bunch of diamonds and try to look rich. I'd rather invest in things that are going to make me money. So I would always encourage you to read that book if you're lacking financial literacy, because that book will, in a very simple, easy to understand and easy to digest fashion, tell you the difference between an asset versus a liability. The next book I would then read, The Millionaire Next Door. Why? Because that book actually shows you in details and breaks down for you how most of the wealth in this country is tied to real estate. Very, very, very simple, right? I'm not a fan of owning a home for you to personally live in unless you have enough passive income where you don't care about that. But treating a home like an asset, I prefer to own cash flowing real estate rather than me living it. That's what I would do. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Millionaire Next Door. Okay, so now I have an understanding as to what I should be doing with my money, what is an asset. Then the next thing is go out here and start failing. That's it, right? Or find a mentor. If you find a mentor, it will help you tremendously. And sometimes a book may be the best mentor that you can find at the time. Stay away from anyone that's coming to you talking about, spirituality, tapping into the ancestors, rebuilding Black Wall Street. As soon as I hear that, I go scam. Scam, 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 scam. I would stay away from that. So try to find you a good mentor. If I had a good mentor when I first started, I wouldn't have went through a lot of the trials and tribulations that I went through. For me, when I first got started, that was my biggest problem. Most of the stuff that I learned basically by me just failing, and it was frustrating. It was painful because You you look at your you look at your peers and you see that they don't have to go through the trials and tribulations that you have to go through. Like I said, I've been homeless multiple times. I had to sleep in my car. I've had multiple business deals or opportunities that were actually working, but because I had to focus on life, because I didn't have the proper family structure, I didn't have the proper support system, I had a lot of times, give up some opportunities, or like even back before when I had a lot of Bitcoin, I had to sell a lot of it earlier because I needed a place to stay. Now imagine if I would have been able to hold on to a lot of that Bitcoin that I had to sell back then to, get my life in order. So, but that's part of being black. And that's just one of the realities that we have to be real with. Like we don't all start on equal footing, and that's just the reality. So mentorship is important. Good mentorship. What's $100 million when the government sent 1.4 billion in stimulus checks to dead people? What's the best advice that somebody gave to you? Understand that this $100 million isn't the end. This is the beginning, right? What we're hoping. So I understand that a lot of you are skeptical and you believe that, this is just pandering. And I believe it is too. But I'm telling you, it's going to be more than $100 million. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be more than $100 million. This is just one company. Robert Smith is trying to get multiple companies to join to get onto this. And what I'm saying to you is that far too often, we as quote unquote foundational Black Americans or American descendants of slavery, whatever you want to call yourself, we allow other ethnicities or people to come into this country and get a lot of these programs and stuff that was meant for us, right? Like it kills me that we're here debating about whether or not we should, and I'm not talking about you, Alexander. I'm just talking about like a lot of the conversations I hear. So if you don't go tap into these billions of dollars that's going to flow to us, well, someone else is going to tap into that. Right? So either we can tap into it or we can let someone else tap into it. Because I'm telling you, it's going to be more than just Netflix. I guarantee you there's going to be other companies that's going to do this. Right? Can't listen. I can't take any negativity. Gotta get you out of here. Sorry about that. Now the best advice that I've ever received. It's a good question. Sometimes off the fly, I'll refer to something. I would say the best advice that I received was it's easy to make money, it's hard to keep it. I believe that when I first came across my mentor, he corrected so much. I would say another piece of good advice too is that you learn business by doing business. So many of us, we want to try to get everything perfect when we first start. And we'll read all these books and think that we have all this knowledge, or we read all these different blogs. I'll promise you that nothing in business is ever going to go as you plan it to go, or you think it's going to go. There will always be bumps in the road. And you have to just understand that comes with being a boss. That comes with being an entrepreneur, that things will always, it's just nothing comes easy. So you learn business by doing business. And yeah, I would definitely say that, right? Like you learn business by doing business. No, I'm not a sole proprietor. What's the level of education you need to be in a tech academy? No, you just be a newbie, right? You have to just be willing to learn GC Black. First of all, the first part of it is about crypto. For many of you, the coding part, many of you don't need that, right? That's just not for you. Like programming is hard. It's not easy. It's not something it's not fun unless you like it and you enjoy it. For many of you, just learning about different crypto projects and how to buy and sell them is going to be enough for you. After 1 or 2 months inside of the academy, you can cancel your membership because you really just need to know what's a hardware wallet, what's a digital signature, what's cryptography, what is a hash function. Okay, I know that. All right, cool. How do I buy my crypto? What's a DEX? What's a centralized exchange? Okay, cool. Why is Bitcoin important? Because it's the first successful piece of blockchain technology that's decentralized, that combines distributive networking. Okay, cool. I got that. Okay, Ethereum. That's the next course coming up. Okay, it's a virtual machine. It's trying to be the world's supercomputer. Okay, what is Ether? Ether's fuel that fuels the Ethereum network. What is gas? Okay, once you know that stuff, and you know what a smart contract is, and then you know what a token is, and then you know what what's happening inside of the Ethereum blockchain with DeFi, then you don't need to be in an academy anymore, right? That coding bootcamp and lifetime membership stuff is for people who they really just want to dive deep into technology, and that's not everyone. And you don't. I'm not going to sit up here and sell you that and make you think that that's what it's going to be for everyone. Miss Leah, how can we apply for the Netflix loan? You have to find the black banks that the money's going to be allocated to. They said that one of the banks, Leah, is going to be this credit union right here, I believe. It's called where's it at? Where's Hope at? Here we go. Hope Credit Union, right? So it says the Black Economic Development Initiative that will invest in black financial institutions and banking with the Hope Credit Union. So that's the first place you can go and start looking is the Hope Credit Union. They actually have a announcement that they put up on their community tab. Just type in Netflix community tab, and you'll find out about it from there. Me and two other family members started in clothing line business. We have a trademark but no LLC yet. Can we apply for SB or PPP? No. You definitely have to have a business, from what I believe, or you have to be a 1099 employee, like a contractor, a subcontractor. If you're a subcontractor, like if you work for like Lyft or Uber, if you work in the gig economy, you can apply for the not the PPP program. You can apply for the economic disaster loan with the SBA. I have a video on the channel. I'll put the link up right now. So I'll give you the link in a second. Give me 1 second and pull it up. SBA. Here we go. Disaster loan right here. So just so you know. Here we go, right here. This is it right here. So this is the disaster loan assistance. I'm going to put it in here for you right now. Control C. And even if they deny you, many of you have reached out to me and said they still gave you like $1,000 or $2,000. The government, they understand that we're in a deflationary spiral, right? So they're going to throw money at you. That's just a reality. They're going to throw money at you. So they may give you $1,000, $2,000, $500. You go out here, you fill it out. The guy from Clear Value Tax, he has videos walking you through how to fill out the application process. Don't worry, I'll put up his YouTube channel as well. Meet Kevin has some really good videos on how to fill out these forms properly. Clear Value Tax is the name. This is the individual right here. This is his YouTube channel. He
Welcome to our channel, Clear Value Tax.
Sorry about that, guys. Right here, he talks about the second stimulus check. He talks about investing in stocks. Where's the videos at about the PPP? He has videos on here. You would have to find it. I believe that inside of this, stimulus check. Where's it at? Here we go. Stimulus package, forgivable loans for small businesses. Right here. Video has almost 1 million views. So it's right here 3 months ago. But I believe that, here we go. CARES Act, unemployment benefits, stimulus. He talks about everything. I would recommend that you go here and just go through his content. He breaks a lot of that stuff down for you. And this is why, as I said to you before, I enjoy being a bridge for you guys and helping you avoid a lot of scams and schemes and pointing you in the right direction to get quality information. And this is why I say, like, you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, you can learn that for free on the internet." You can learn how to do your taxes for free on the internet. That doesn't mean that you should do your taxes for free on the internet, or try to be your own accountant, because you're going to probably make mistakes. Like, don't be cheap. If you have the money, pay for expertise. Pay for people who can cut out the noise and direct you straight to where you need to go. You will save yourself a lot of headache and a lot of problems. So that's what I do. I want to be the bridge, because it's sad to say, but a lot of people who look like us are scammers. Flat out. A lot of people in our community, they overcharge you for basic products. They charge you thousands of dollars for information that you can find for free, right? They price gouge you, or they, scheme on you and prey on you and commit fraud against you. So I want to be a bridge where if I'm going to charge you for something, it's going to be affordable. And if I don't know about something, or I'm not well versed in that particular area, I'm going to point you to people who do have the expertise and who do know what the hell they're talking about. And I saw a donation come in. Jay Moon said, "Thank you for sharing this information." No problem. But listen, this COVID stuff is good, man. I'm telling you, there's going to be we're going to have another wave with the pandemic. We're going to have another spike. I guarantee you, coming right up into the fall, that's when you want to see the stock market start to crash again. And you're going to start to see, because this is all political. Remember, they're trying to get Biden in office. Biden clearly has dementia. He's clearly not well. He can't beat Trump head to head. So they're going to have to pull out all of the stunts. And this is what I said to you before, guys. We have to learn how to get in where we fit in. That's just the reality. Someone said, yes, Meet Kevin, I follow him. That's good. The Clearview Tax versus Meet Kevin beef is pretty entertaining as well. I started listening to him, so I definitely am familiar with him. That's good. I'm looking for more info on the Netflix loan. I would love to apply for it under my business. It's not a Netflix loan, guys. It's they're allocating resources to Black-owned businesses and Black-owned banks and institutions. And like I said, banking with the Hope Credit Union. If you want the information, just go to Netflix's page, look up Robert F. Smith. What they're doing is they're going to be pumping money into Black institutions so that you can then go to Black banks, because there are only 21 Black banks that are Black-owned or Black-led, and they only have $5 billion in assets. So you're going to see a push to capitalize these banks and these lending institutions so that you can be able to tap into that capital. I heard that the $10K is a grant amount that was supposed to be given to all small businesses applying for the EIDL. The SBA was wrong for only giving $1,000 per employee. Yeah, but that's what Robert Smith was speaking about. I had a video talking about that as well, like where the CARES Act legislation said one thing, but the SBA was saying something completely different on their channel. Again, that's what happens when you deal with government. Government's not efficient, and people can exploit that. So they definitely played a lot of games with that, and they were picking and choosing who they wanted that money to go to. But this is why I said before, you have to make sure that you are sticking your hand in these wealth transfers and try to get in where you fit in. That's it. I'm not voting anyway. Daniel McCreary. None of these candidates are up to my criteria at all. There's no way I could vote for Joe Biden. Like, there's just no way. Lee Brown says, I appreciate you, man, and I look to give back in ways I can to you and our people, and still looking forward to your academy. Yeah, no problem, man. Listen, I enjoy what I do, because I get emails all the time from people who they actually follow some of the stuff that I said about, applying for credit cards, transferring balances, getting themselves under that 30% threshold as far as utilization is concerned. So long as I'm doing that, I feel good. I can sleep at night knowing that I'm not scamming anyone. I'm not stealing from anyone. I'm not scheming anyone. So my channel is growing. Business is going well. So it's only right to give back because, as I said before, if I had someone like myself helping me just avoid a lot of I wasted so much time listening to the wrong people. And I wasted so much time in those network marketing and affiliate marketing opportunities. That's where I really messed up at. I spent too much time in the ClickBanks with the ClickBank products and the JV Zoo products, and I wasted so much time with Wake Up Now and Empower Network, and that was time that I really should have been focusing on trying to build my own. Like, I was too focused on trying to sell other people's products, and I was having success doing it, but nowhere near the amount of success I would have had if I focused on selling my own stuff, and I wasted too much time doing that. And that's why I focus on giving you guys actionable information. Actionable. I don't want to talk to you about the sun, the moon, the stars. I like to come to you guys and talk to you about actionable things that you can apply today in your life and in your business and become better, right? Actionable things. I want to give you, so if I talk to you about credit, I want to give you information that you can use. If your credit is messed up, I can't help you, right? Like, if you have bankruptcies, I'm not going to sit up here and try to give you some magic pill and tell you that you can go to the ACC, the BCC, or the UCC and get a status correction. You'll never hear me tell you no foolishness like that. If your credit is messed up, the best thing you could try to do is try to build credit in one of your family members' name, your girl's name, or your kid's name. Because you trying to fix your own credit, if you are thousands of dollars deep in debt and you trying to get something started now, best thing I can tell you to do is try to build it somewhere else. Find a person that you can trust and go that way. Because trying to build it on your own, listen, it's going to be hard. And that's just, I love to give you guys the reality. But like I said before, crypto, I love to point you guys in the right direction. And that's my thing. So as long as I'm pointing you in the right direction, giving you actionable information that you can use, then that's all that matters. Oh, it depends on what he's doing, Miss Leah P, with Forex. Forex is good if you're learning from someone that actually knows what they're doing. But from my experience, Forex is much harder to trade than it is for futures or stocks. That's just my opinion. It's easy to manipulate the Forex market. Many of these offshore brokers, even if you start making money, they're going to steal your money. That happened to me with binary options. I was using this broker called G Options. I never forget it. You can go look it up. And the guy's name was Adam Stone. He never showed his face. They were timed binary options, like 5-minute binary options and 15-minute binary options. And what happened was that they were paying out good affiliate commissions. So a lot of people from the whole Wake Up Now crowd, they got on a trading crowd into the trading game, and they were making crazy affiliate commissions. So getting people to sign up to these offshore brokers, that's what a lot of these quote unquote traders do. And they'll flash their account and show you, I got 20,000 in my account or 50,000 in my account. But most of those profits didn't come from trading. They came from signing people up. And what you have to understand is that they'll show you like a trade that they're in, but the broker will manipulate the data where like it'll look like a real-time winning trade, but it's really just them, playing with the data, making it look like they're in a real trade and they're really not. A lot of these guys are demo warriors. They're trading on delayed information, but making it like it's real time. So I would be very careful with like who you're learning from, what you're learning from. I'm not saying you can't make money with doing it, but I promise you, many of the people who are pretending to be traders, ask them if they can show you their brokerage statements from a registered licensed broker. Like what's the Oanda, a broker like Oanda, or a broker like Ninja Trader, or using a broker like, what's the other broker I'm trying to think of? There's Oanda, there's Ninja Trader, and there's another broker. Like legitimate brokers, not these offshore brokers where they're giving you 500-to-1 leverage and you're trading all these different CFDs, contracts for deliveries. Like I said, I've been through the whole game, so I know about it, right? I know about the game. I know about Short Trader. I did that. I did it all, right? Like you have to understand. Like I did it all, so I know what's real. I know what's legit. Like if you ask me to show you my P&L, I can pull up my brokerage statements with NinjaTrader, and I clear through Doorman and fill up Capital, and I can show you I can show you my account. I can show you the trades that I've actually the actually trades that I take, and the trades that I've made money and lost money on. Most of the time in trading, I'm breaking even. About 4 months to 5 months out the year is when I make most of my money. And for most day traders that I know, that's how it is. Which is why, like I said before, you see me gravitating away from day trading, because day trading is not something that you can really scale up in a major way and do it in a scientific way. That's a business. You could do it in a gambling way, but in a way where you have a strategy, it's not the reality. Yeah, I prefer my indicators that I had that's custom built. They will only work with NinjaTrader 7. They won't even work with NinjaTrader 8. What's the name? The indicators that I had custom built. They won't work with NinjaTrader 8 or Thinkorswim. So Thinkorswim has a nice platform, especially for options. For day trading, if I had to pick for stocks, I'm going with Lightspeed. I think Lightspeed's the best platform to use for day trading. As far as execution, routing is concerned, going through different ECNs, it's better to just use Lightspeed. GC, absolutely not. To be a developer of any kind, you do not need any degree in engineering. This is one of the biggest misconceptions that we have, is that so many of us believe that we have to go to school in order for us to work in certain industries. To be a doctor, yes, you need schooling. To be a lawyer, yes, you need schooling. When it comes to technology, you need a portfolio of projects. You need certain certifications. Like you can go on Udemy. What's the other place? I keep forgetting. Coursera. You can go take a course on Coursera for a fraction of what it would cost you to go to college and go get you a job in IT, in data analytics, and become a data scientist. Now, remember, they barely even have courses on blockchain developers. Remember, the whole idea of becoming a blockchain developer probably just happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Like this whole idea of a programmable blockchain, that wasn't even a concept 6-7 years ago. So you have to understand that this is new technology. This is cutting edge technology. What you need is an understanding of how the tech works. You need a portfolio of projects that you've actually built. And then, yes, you may need some certifications to get yourself in the door to make your resume look good if you're trying to work in this industry. This is where, like I said, this is where Coursera comes into play. This is where, what's the other one? Udemy, and it's another one I can't think of it off the top of my head. Where you actually, go and you may take a 2-month or 3-month course to get a certain certification. Yes, but you don't need a degree, and you don't need to spend $60,000. Tech is all about, can you do the work? Like seriously, they want to look at your code. When you, like, for example, like when you go into an interview, they're going to ask you, they're going to give you a problem, and they're going to ask you, how can you solve that problem? That's it. Like your resume, you can have all of the resume stuff you want. If you don't know how to solve these problems, then they don't need you. Udacity, there we go. Udacity, Alexander Wilson. All right, so, and I'll plug you in with Coursera, so you can go and look. Like I believe in giving you guys the information so that you can go look it up for yourself. Right here, this is Coursera, and they collaborate with Google, Duke, IBM, and you can go ahead and you can get your learn on. So, we have to get out of this idea of thinking that you need this fancy degree from this fancy university and that you need to spend, $80,000 on a degree. You don't need that, and not today. Like, think about it. Here we are, we're in the middle of a pandemic, right? And colleges are not going to, some of these colleges are not opening back up, but they're charging full price for tuition. They're going to have learning from home courses, so e-learning. You're going to learn from home. Think about it. Right now, with the pandemic, people are learning from home. So you're learning from home already right now. And these colleges are still, they haven't dropped their prices. And as you can see here, it says learn the latest skills, get ready for a career, earn a certificate or degree, and upskill your organization. Here's the funny thing. And if you think I'm lying, you can go and look this up for yourself. A lot of companies require every couple of years that you go and actually learn new skills to stay up to date with the market, especially like up to date with just your field. And they'll send people to Coursera or Udacity or Udemy to go and learn, to stay up to date as to what's going on. Right? Like so this, again, this is important, and you'll get a certificate or you'll get a degree, and this is all you need. And you go get your hustle on. Like I said before, so what I'm focusing on with the Tech Academy is, again, giving you some basic skills, giving you a fundamentals, letting you test something out to see if you even like it. Think about it. I would be pissed off if I went and spent $10,000 on a coding boot camp and realized I didn't like it. Listen, like I said, you don't just get the coding boot camp with $1,000 when you join my Tech Academy. You get lifetime access to everything that's going to be in the academy. We're going to have a ton of different courses. I did a soft launch with just Bitcoin just to get some feedback. There will be a course on Ethereum, a course on Monero, privacy coins, different DeFi projects. We're going to get into how to analyze the projects, how you should be investing in projects, so many different things that we're going to cover in the academy. So you don't have to go the coding route. As I said before, people think that tech is just like, building a website. There's so many other aspects of technology that you can get into just from being, like I said, from the legal aspect, from marketing, from selling other people's products, right? Like you may just want to be an affiliate and sell my product or whatever the case may be. Thanks, bro. Started my Coursera course on Python and machine learning. All thanks to you. Appreciate it, King Simon. I'm definitely going to screenshot this and post it. A lot of you have been messaging me and telling me that I'm not really into working for someone nor legal work. How can I apply the skills of the academy from an entrepreneurial standpoint? That's going to be, again, up to you. We're going to focus on that in the academy. Be easy. I'm going to focus on getting you into hackathons, showing you where hackathons are happening at, showing you how to brand yourself, because that's what it's about. Like when you are trying to become like an entrepreneur or trying to get on a team of entrepreneurs, you have to brand yourself, so that you have to have a GitHub repository of where your projects is at, showing people the code and projects that you've built, having a website set up of who you are, what you're working on. And that's what we're going to be focusing on inside of the academy, is like getting you marketable, showing you where you can go and how you can apply for stuff. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to learn how to network with people. Like when it comes to like technology, building things, like you need a team. You have to work with people. So we're going to be focusing on showing you where to go and find different resources and find groups of people. But in business in general, you have to learn how to network. Or, you can go in places like Upwork. What's the other site I've come across? Not Fiverr, it's another site where you can go and you can basically build websites for people. You could build apps for people. Like with JavaScript is a very beginner-friendly language to learn. So once you learn Java and then you learn Node.js or React.js, you may say, you know what, I don't really want to go the blockchain route. I may want to go the web development route, or I may want to go build apps. Like there's so many opportunities. So once you learn Java, you may say, you know what, I don't really want to go that whole development route. I may want to go down to Python and get into the whole machine learning and AI and data and becoming a data analyst. The very first thing is you have to get the fundamentals, right? So Java is going to give you an understanding of just a framework, and then you begin to build from there. So as I said before, what I focus on and will be focusing on in the academy is giving you the basic skills and the fundamentals, and then allowing you to to kind of grow and morph into your own, right? Because you have to understand, like, I personally can't tell you to be like me, right? Part of being an entrepreneur, right? Part of being an entrepreneur is finding your own path, right? So if you don't want to work for anyone, we have to figure out what you are going to be good at. And remember, like, when you're learning a programming language, you're learning a language, but all languages have fundamentals, right? So like, if once you get the basics, you can apply this to different languages and you'll be able to pick them up in a matter of no time. Like, once you learn one language, it'll be very easy for you to learn another language, especially if you know like Java and you know like Python, because those are like high level languages. Like, they're very far away from really dealing with the hardware on the computer. Like, learning like C and C++ is kind of hard, because you know those are very, very difficult languages to learn. They're not that easy, or like OCaml. But like Python, Java, you should learn the syntax in about 2 weeks. Like, it, depending on how much time you dedicate to it. So long story short, I can't really tell you where to go as far as like, this is what you need to do. What I can do is point you in some directions, and then you have to begin to eventually walk that path. Right? We all have to walk our own path, especially as an entrepreneur. You have to walk your own path. Facts. Python is super user friendly. Built my first advanced calculator in 3 days. I got AI machine learning, and it's a lot of fun. You will get a lot of job offers, but I prefer self-employment. Exactly. And that, like I said before, that's what I want to focus on. Happy to be nappy is like really just giving you the basics and then allowing you to go down that path, go down that rabbit hole, and eventually you'll figure out what you like. See, what attracted me to I first learned, the first programming language I learned was Python, but then I went down the JavaScript rabbit hole, because when you start programming in Solidity with Ethereum, it's very, very similar to JavaScript. So you pick it up very, very quickly. So if you know JavaScript, you'll definitely know Solidity, and it's very easy. And understanding what's happening with DeFi, I like to know the code so I can know if a person's trying to hustle me or not, right? So like, when you hear about all of these smart contract platforms and like the hack that just happened with Balancer, because I know how to program, I understand what the hell they're talking about. And if you're going to be investing in technology, at least know how. Just knowing a little bit about, like, you know, programming will make you a better investor if you're investing in tech. How do you think finance and accounting will evolve in blockchain or digitech? Would we see a repeat of the banksters, or would it be decentralized? That's a good question. The fact that we can be able to send value to each other peer to peer, you don't really need a banking institution, right? Like, you don't need banks to the degree that you need them. Think about accounting firms. If I can pull up everything that's happening on a blockchain by just having a hash or a transaction ID, I don't need like accountants and stuff like that. So I believe that the finance world is going to get extremely, extremely slimmer as we go with technology, because as we grow, you realize more and more you don't really need them to that degree. But the banksters are still going to find their way. To think that you're going to overthrow the banksters, you're delusional. You'll never overthrow the banksters, right? You'll never overthrow them. They're going to be involved in some shape, form, or fashion. They're going to be involved, whether it's through the fiat on ramps, like as far as like how you get money into crypto. Like, think about it. In order to get money into crypto, you have to use your debit card. That's it. Period. Either you're going to take out cash and try to go buy local Bitcoins or local crypto, or you're going to have to use some type of a fiat gateway like Coinbase or Binance. But some way you have to use a bank institution, right? So the banks aren't going away. Will they look different? Will they get slimmer? Will they get smaller? Absolutely. We're already seeing a contraction in the banking space, especially internationally. Like, if you look at HSBC, they're laying off 30, 40,000 at a time. If you look at what just happened with Wirecard, with the fraud where they lost $2.1 billion. If you look at UBS and the problems that they're having with their banks, the banking industry will get extremely small and leaner, especially after what's happening with this pandemic. And the blockchain is going to usher a lot of that stuff in, where a lot of these jobs are just not needed. And whether it's a public open blockchain or whether it's some type of a corporate blockchain, it's going to make information easier to manage and access data. And you're just not going to need a lot of these jobs that exist. That's just the reality. So now, as far as centralization is concerned, we already see China. They already have their own version of a digital coin that they're coming out with. You're already seeing that the U.S. is floating the idea of some type of, Fed coin. So there will be a centralized version of a cryptocurrency. That's just going to happen. But there will also be decentralized cryptocurrencies. And the market should be able to choose and decide what is money and what isn't money, right? A government should not dictate what is and isn't money. The same way we remove church and state, we should be able to remove the state from money. And all currencies should be able to compete against each other. So, but I believe that eventually the banksters and the government, they're going to collude and try to attack various different cryptocurrencies, and it's only going to make it more valuable, in my opinion, right? The more you try to regulate something, the more valuable you'll make it. India already tried to ban Bitcoin. Price boomed. China already tried to crack down on Bitcoin. Price boomed. Because once you understand technology, you understand that Bitcoin is backed by math. And math is communication. Anywhere where there's communication, there will be a cryptocurrency. So you can't ban Bitcoin because Bitcoin is a language. See, what a lot of people don't understand about the technology is that you can't ban a person from speaking, right? Like people talking. So if I can send Bitcoin transactions through text message, I can send Bitcoin transactions through email. I can send Bitcoin transactions through radio waves, through SOS, through smoke signals. Like it's a language, it's communication, right? Just communicating ones and zeros and numbers. So once you understand that there's no way that you'll be able to ban this stuff, and it's going to compete against each other. Now, there are ways where you can make it extremely hard and you can make it difficult, but there will be centralized versions of crypto, of Fed coins and stuff like that. And the financial industry will change. And I think that's a good thing. If we can get more transparency as to what's really happening in our let's say Bitcoin isn't successful. Let's say Bitcoin collapses or fails, but what we get from it is, blockchain technology being adopted by a lot of companies. Just being able to track your goods where they actually came from, and that they're authentic is going to be a good thing. So that's how I see the blockchain really affecting corporations and companies. It says coding phase is usually $20 a month, but Joe will probably have a super discount price for July 4th. Teaches you what you need to get a job. He wants you to get out of your crappy dead-end job. I don't know who Joe is. Python library. I've learned HTML and CSS first, then Java, and now I'm learning Python. Yeah. Well, you remember that in order to learn Java, you have to learn a little bit of a little bit of HTML, right? Because HTML is basically like the framework, and your JavaScript, you're basically playing in the engine, inside of the web browser. So you have to learn HTML if you want to learn Java. And you need to know a little bit of CSS, right, to style websites. So, like, basically, from the way I see it, like, all three of those just come with each other. Like, you can't really learn one without the other. Like, in order to learn Java, you have to learn HTML and you have to learn CSS. That just comes naturally. But that's not really, like, HTML is simple, it's basic. CSS is not that complicated either. The Java aspect of it is the part that you need to really focus on, in my opinion. Um, we built America, period. People act like simple stuff is difficult for the paper. 100%. The biggest problem, for example, as I said, as I've been stating time and time again, if you go to programming with Mosh, like for example, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Give me 1 second. Right. So let's pull this up, and I'll tell you I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about right now. I love to give you the factual information that you can use. So let's go programming with Mosh, right? Why is this page freezing like this? So here we go, right here, right? This is programming with Mosh's page. If you come here, he has basic tutorials for free, right? Basic tutorials for free, where he shows you, like I said before, what's a string, what's a boolean. Okay, that's easy. What can you do with it? What can you do with it, right? What can you do? What can you do with this? They don't focus on teaching you how to build stuff. So, okay, you sit up here, you watch the tutorial on Python, you watch the tutorial on MySQL, you watch Node, but they're not teaching you how to build anything. And then they sell you their course on how to go and build stuff. When you go through a coding boot camp, they mainly focus on building things because that's the fastest way to learn. You can sit here and you can watch these tutorials on how to make a string and print it to the console. Great. How to take 3 plus 4 and print it to the console. Great. You can sit up you can sit up there and you can play with that until you blue in the face. Okay. But then when the person asks you a question and they give you a problem and they say, okay, how are you going to solve this problem with code? How are you going to use code to solve this problem? Then you start you get confused, like, oh, I don't really know what to do. Like, well, he just said, let number equal 30, but he didn't really teach you how to make a for loop and then turn it into if else. Or, well, how do I make an application where I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to use Boolean logic. I'm going to use logic true or false to figure out if this applicant is approved or isn't approved. And I'm going to code that and make that into an application. They don't do that in these videos. Right? Like, so you sit up here. I know because that's why eventually I ended up going and joining a coding boot camp, because I got frustrated because you watch these tutorials, but they don't really show you how to use the code to problem solve. Remember, the whole purpose of coding is using computers to solve problems. Right? Right. So when you go through that's why I said when you go through a coding boot camp, they actually tell you how to use this code and what you're using this code to solve. What's the problem that you're trying to solve? So you can now think, rather than I have to keep sitting up here, okay, and I go to the tutorial again and I go, oh, I learned a do while loop. Oh, okay, now I know about loops. Oh, I know a while loop now. Oh, I know a for loop now. Right? And you sit there all day long and you keep watching these tutorials because they're not teaching you how to build stuff. So we're going to be focusing on building things. Creating arrays in Java had me for a loop. Yeah. So JavaScript is much easier than Java. Just so a lot of you know that, like, JavaScript is much easier than Java. It's not as hard as Java. Yeah, Jerome Pope. That's one of the biggest problems, and that you see with a lot of these programs is that they and it not only do they skip a lot of steps, but they don't spend enough time on emphasizing certain steps. Like, loops are extremely important. Understanding conditional statements is extremely important, that you understand conditional statements and why they're important, and understanding the difference between, a method and being able to call certain methods and why you want to call certain methods and why you can clean up your code by utilizing certain databases. Like, it's so many different nuances that they leave out, but they do that on purpose. And again, I'm not saying Mosh is a bad person. I'm saying that he structures his things to sell you his courses, which is it's nothing wrong with that. It's good information for those of you who are just starting out. But if you really want to get into the game, you have to learn how to think. So, but with that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I've been talking now for 2 hours. I hate when I do this, when I start taking questions. I hate when I do this. I go on these rants sometimes. So I've taken up 2 hours of your time. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Please do me a favor and like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you join my mailing list. Thank you to everyone who donated. I appreciate it. Thank you to those of you who have signed up to my Tech Academy. For those of you who are interested, we have a 7-day free trial for you to test it out. For those of you who are a part of the lifetime membership, be on the lookout for an email from me, because I'm going to need your telephone number so that I can contact you, so that we can dialogue, so that I can see where you are based upon your tech skills and your computer literacy. Because I know some of you've never, ever embarked on anything like this before, and that's okay. Take your time. Rome was not built in a day. So we'll be live streaming tomorrow, and I will see you guys tomorrow. So have a great night. Thanks for tuning in.